Okay, great. Thank you for the responses. I see we have about 150 responses. We expect more or less get about 70%, 75% response to the polls, and we can then kick off. If you're just joining, there's a poll on your screen. There's a poll on your screen. Please just fill the questions. Let's get to know what you know about RSA mortgage and assessing your RSA for mortgage purposes. So we have a 65% response so far. I would like us to hit 75% and then we kick off. So we're currently on 65%. Please, if you're just joining us, kindly fill the polls. Currently on 67%. Please, let's just take the next few seconds. Not a lot of questions, just 2 questions. Okay, I think we'll just give 30 more seconds. We're currently on 70%. Currently on 70%, just a few more people and we would hit the 75% mark. Okay, thank you. We're almost there. If you're just joining us, please, there's a poll on your screen. Kindly respond to the poll. We're on 72%. I think just maybe about 30 more people or 40 more people will get us 75%. Okay, great, great. We're almost there. Okay, 73%. And okay, thank you all. We've hit the 75% mark and still going. So at this point, I would like to introduce our first speaker, Yetunde Olumiyiwa from Access ARM Pensions. She's quite experienced in this field, and she'll get to introduce us to the home ownership and what we need to know about assessing our RSA for mortgage purposes. I'll hand over to Yetunde at this point.
Good afternoon, everyone. I hope I'm quite audible. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for being part of this webinar. It's such a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much. Thank you for taking out of your busy schedule. So we'll just go straight into the presentation, and this is just a brief on what Access ARM is all about. Access ARM Pensions, as you know, we're the second largest PFA in the industry with over 3.5 trillion in AUM, and we're currently managing over 2 million RSA holders. And we've continued over the years to show consistency in terms of return. We're part of a larger ecosystem, the Access Corporation, that's the Access Holdings PLC, and we are here to just deliver superior financial services to all our RSA holders. Thank you so much. And we're having this webinar, and it's very critical for us to even get a sense of what has been happening so far. As you know, in the Nigerian industry, we have had numerous complaints about housing deficit. Indeed, a research that was done has about 28 million housing, a deficit of 28 million housing units, which means that something needs to be done. And over the years, the government have always tried to, do things to be able to close this gap as we go ahead. And one of the key things that had happened in the industry sometime in September 2022 was that our pension regulator, that is the National Pension Commission, brought out guidelines allowing RSA holders to be able to access up to 25% of their RSA balance and use it as equity contribution for residential mortgage. I must say residential mortgage, because what you're supposed to use this fund for is to be able to get the kind of home you can live in, okay? And so far since the scheme started, we have had applications processed in excess of 24,500 applications done. And indeed, there have been payments of over 149 billion so far and this records is as at March 2025. And I would just quickly go in to explain how the mortgage transactions always occur. Now, when you're trying to get a property, you can decide that you want to make a total payment for the property. That means you are making an outright payment. The other option that you have is to go via the route of mortgage. And normally, when you have a mortgage transaction, that means that there are two things involved. One is the equity contribution, which is sort of like the down payment that has to be made by the intending homeowner, which is their own contribution to the property cost. The other leg is the mortgage, which is the housing loan. And that's the one that the financial institution that has decided to borrow you the funds will be making. So I've given a quick illustration of 100 million naira property. And what you have here is that typically, for most financial institutions, they would request for a 20% equity contribution from the intending homeowner. And what it means is that in the case of 100 million property, you need to make a down payment of 20 million naira. Now, the other part, which is 80 million naira, will now be financed by the financial institution or the mortgage lender. In the past, most people would have had to source for the 20 million from a lot of places, maybe from their investment in treasury bills, bonds, and all the rest, or shares. But now, what has happened since PENCOM brought out these guidelines is that rather than you sourcing from other places, you can now use part of your RSA balance, that's a maximum of 25%. You can use that to augment the 20 million that the bank is requesting for in this example. And that's what we have. So there are a number of touch points that you would usually see for a RSA holder or a contributor. That's the retirement savings account contributor. Whenever they are looking at having this kind of arrangement, there are a number of participants within this kind of transaction. Now, you would ask me, why do I need to go the mortgage route? Why can't I just use my 25% and get the property I want? That is, if your 25% is adequate for you to get a property. But what the scheme says, or what the scheme allows, and what our regulator says is that there must be a mortgage. That means there must be a housing loan in the mix. And that's why it is very important for you to have a financial institution, approved financial institution, or in this case of MREF, an eligible financial institution that can, give you the mortgage bit of the transaction. And the usual touch points that we have the property owner. That's the person you want to get the property from, that you want to acquire the property from. The next participant within this transaction is the employer, because there are some documents that you need to get from your employer. So typically your employer will give you an introduction letter to say when the retirement age in that organization would be. And then another thing is you have the PFA, that's a pension fund administrator that would process your 25% of your balance to be able to use as equity contribution in the mortgage. Then, of course, you have the financial institution that would be giving you that would be, providing the mortgage to you. And then you have the PFC, the pension fund custodian, that would be giving you that will be making payment into your account. I must state, into your account. I think, just a moment, please. The slides are not changing. Please, administrator, and then it's blurry. So it must be a pension fund custodian that would be making payment into your account with the pension fund that will be making your payment into the PMI, that's the primary mortgage institution or your mortgage lender. Now, the next question to ask yourself is, what are the things that would make me eligible? It is not everybody that can be part of the scheme. It is not everyone that can access the 25% that we are talking about. So who are the people that can access it? The contributors to the scheme that have made a minimum contribution for 5 years, for a 5-year period. So what it means is that since the CPS started, the contributory pension scheme, you must have made a minimum contribution for 5 years or for 60 months. Another thing is that RSA holder must have 3 years and above to retirement. 3 years and above to retirement. And then we know how properties are in terms of the costing, the pricing. A number of times you would see couples that want to come together to make a joint application. They are allowed to do that. But the only thing is that each individuals in that arrangement must make sure that all the eligibility criteria are met. Another thing is that the proceeds can only be used, the proceeds from your RSA balance, as well as the mortgage that you are getting from the mortgage institution, must be used to purchase a completed property. It cannot be used to get a land. It cannot be used to buy an uncompleted building. Maybe it's at foundation stage or half completed. It must be used to get a near completed or completed property. And then you cannot use the funds to refinance an existing mortgage. So you cannot use it to pay down an existing mortgage. And one thing that is critical is that you must have an offer letter for the property duly signed by the owner. And it must also be verified by the mortgage institution. Okay, and then you must also be routing your application, your mortgage application, through an approved financial institution. Another thing is, just briefly summarizes what can happen whenever you are accessing. There are 3 scenarios. It is one of the scenarios is the fact that your 25% is adequate for you to complete what is needed by the bank as equity contribution. When that happens, there's no problem. That means you can go ahead with the transaction. Another one is where your 25% is less than the equity contribution that is required by the bank. And what that means is that you need to make some extra payments. So in the instance that I gave in the initial example of 20 million, if your RSA balance, if 25% of your RSA balance would only get you 15 million, for example, that means you must look for funds from other sources to shore up and make up that 5 million deficit. Another one is where your 25% of RSA balance is more than the equity contribution required by the bank. What we always say is always talk to us as Access ARM Pensions so that we can guide you on how to do this. If it is more, it is only what is required by the bank that will be taken as equity contribution. So for example, in the instance that I gave, equity contribution is 20 million, but 25% of your RSA balance is now 25 million. That means that you have an excess. What you can do is instruct your bank to increase the equity contribution. If not, it would only be the 20 million that is being requested for by the bank that will be allowed for you to withdraw from your RSA. And this gives a brief journey map about how it goes, especially when you want to apply for part of your RSA as equity contribution. You have to collate a number of documentation. In the next slide, I'm going to talk about the kind of documents that will be needed. So you collate that. For Access ARM Pensions, the email that is acceptable is initiate RSA mortgage at accessarmpensions.com. And all the application documents are sent to this email, and thereafter it is processed by our team. It has to be arranged in the manner that is acceptable as well. And then there's a documentation review, and it goes on. Once everything is okay with the document, it is now approved. And after approval, then payment is made. And the timeline, prior to June 1, 2025, it used to go to our regulator, PEMCOM, for approval. But since June 1, 2025, everything about mortgage processing now is done in-house, which makes it a lot easier for RSA holders that are interested in getting their properties to quickly be able to lock down on their property transaction. We'll now talk about required documents. Please, I don't want you to be scared about the long list, because whenever people hear about the kind of documents they have to provide, they get a bit skeptical. We are here to help you out with that processing at Access ARM Pensions. There are a number of application forms from the bank, from us, and then of course the letter of employer that I had mentioned earlier, means of identification, bank statement, all of those kind of things are the things that are required. We would always make the list of documents required available to all our intending applicants. And then another critical thing are that a number of things that cause delays in applications. Sometimes you send documents and you wonder, oh, why are they not treating my transaction? Why is it being delayed? It is because of the inconsistency that we see in documentation. Sometimes some information written on the loan document is different from what the property owner that is selling to you have put in the offer letter. It might say 3-bedroom flat in the offer letter from the property vendor, and then the bank is putting 2-bedroom flat. There's a disparity. So this kind of thing can cause delay. Another thing is if all the documents are not complete or some things are not signed off by signatories, or there are no witnessing on the contract. And then if there are no fund evidence where there is a need to make an additional or extra payment, if there's no fund evidence in the bank statement to show that shortfall has been provided for, then those kind of things, can cause delays. Then when the remittance, that's the pension remittance of the contributor, is not up to date, I need to reemphasize this. It is very critical. Anything that is more than 4 months late. So for example, we are in June. Anything, if your pension contribution stops in January, that means that it cannot be processed because PENCOM does not allow us to process. They must be near up to date or up to date. Another thing is a matter of wrong stamping. Sometimes what the guideline says is that it has to be done at the High Court. And then we see some documents that have stamping from the magistrate courts. Those kind of things can cause delays. Now, I'll just go, what is Access ARM Pensions bringing to the table in terms of value proposition? What are we here to do? Are we just processing your application? No, we do beyond that. We look at you and help you out through the journey, through the entire process. One of the things is that we have, affiliations with property developers that can help you identify the property you are looking at. And then also we help you out with advisory. Remember, we are experts at what we do. We know the things that can cause bottlenecks. We know the things that can cause shortfalls. We help you out to ensure that you do not fall into this kind of problems. Another thing is that we have the backing of one of the largest, if not the largest, bank financial institution in the country, across Africa, in even a lot of branches all over the world. And that is Access Bank. And then we have interface with a lot of financial institutions that have been approved by PENCOM and has been approved for the MRIF. And our banking colleagues will talk more about the MRIF. And then the quick turnaround time, because we have done this, I mentioned earlier, since June 1, we have been able to make payments of all complete documentation within a week. And then there are an array of home offerings that we have. So what next, you would ask me? What do I have to do next to be able to start this journey? Right now, you can see a QR code being displayed on your screen. All you need to do is scan the QR code so that you can fill an expression of interest form. And I can assure you that people within the bank, people within Access ARM Pensions will get in touch with you immediately. Thank you so much for giving us this opportunity. And then this is just a slide to show some of the available properties by some developers that we have. It also shows the range. It it also shows the pricing range. So if you want more information on all of this, please contact us, and then we'll be able to direct you appropriately. What we're trying to do is ensure that your home ownership journey and dreams are fulfilled. Thank you so much. Over to you, Adam.
Thank you, Yetunde. Thank you for that insightful session. Okay, before I call on our next speaker, I would like to just say that I've been seeing some quite interesting questions on the chat box. I would like us to move those questions to the Q&A session. So if you look beneath your screen, there's a Q&A session just at the bottom of the screen. Please put in your questions at the Q&A session and someone will attend to it so that we don't clog the chat box. Please move your questions. If you have questions, please move them to the Q&A session. We really appreciate that. Okay, so I'll call on our next speaker, Marcus Nana. Marcus Nana is from Access Bank, and he'll be helping us understand the MREIF, Ministry of Finance Incorporated Real Estate Investment Fund, which was launched sometime early this year. So Nana will be telling us, giving us more information about it, and letting us know what we need to do from as customers who intend to access this fund. So Nana, please. Marcus, we're waiting for you.
Hello, so sorry. Good afternoon. Very much happy to be here today. My name is Marcos and I work with Access Bank. Before I proceed, please permit me to recite our corporate philosophy. Our purpose is to make a positive impact in Africa. Our vision to be the world's most respected African bank. Our mission, setting standard for sustainable business practices that ignite the talent of our employees and create superior value for our stakeholders. Our core values are leadership, excellence, empowered employee, passion for customers, professionalism, and innovation. On the course of this presentation, I will be speaking to our core value as relates to passion for our customers. At Access Bank, we are driven by a deep passion for our customers, understanding our customers' needs, exceeding their expectation, and delivering solutions that truly improve the lives of our customers across Africa. I am passionate about the MREIF scheme because over the years, one of the major challenges we've experienced as relates to mortgage financing has always been the cost of mortgages. Now, what MREIF does is that it has helped us achieve this long-time dream of having affordable mortgage scheme for our customers. With MREIF, it makes it possible for every one of you listening to me today to own your own home through a very streamlined mortgage processes. And I will like to go into the details of what are the key features. How do you, who is listening to me now, assess your eligibility for this scheme. Now, before I proceed, I also like you to understand the full meaning of MREIF is Ministry of Finance Incorporated Real Estate Investment Fund. And on the course of this, I will take you through the general criteria for you to be able to access this MREIF funds. So please, next slide. Now, there are general criteria that makes it possible for you to access this. One is that you need to be within the age bracket of 21 to 65 age. And then the tenure of this facility must align with this age bracket. Now, for you to be able to access this, you must be in a paid employment, or you must have a viable means of livelihood, like you run your own business and you're able to generate income from your business. Outside that, you cannot use more than 33% of your income to be able to service this loan, and you must also have a very clean credit record for us to be able to avail these facilities to you. Now, there are key features of MREEF. One of the reasons why we are passionate about the scheme, one of the reasons why we want to talk about it anytime, is the fact that the interest rate for MREEF is 12%. And currently in the market, you cannot get it anywhere. Now, for you to be able to access this, we expect you as the borrower to provide us with equity contribution of 20% for the property you've identified to buy, and we can lend up to 100 million under this scheme. And then the maximum tenure is 10 years, is 20 years. What this means is that, if you're currently 40, you can get up to 20 years. If you're 45, you can get around 15 years. And if you're 50, you can get around 10 years and thereabouts. So that's what this speaks to. Now, are there fees associated to this? Yes, there are. We only charge 1% management fee on the cost of processing these facilities for you. And as always, you always want to insure your property, regardless whether you're taking mortgage or not. It's essential that you insure your property. These are the basic features of the MREEF scheme. Now, please, next slide. Now, for us to be able to proceed as a salary customer, there are basic requirements that we need from you. One of which is just like is a request letter, or you fill our mortgage application form. Now, when we get this, it's expected that we conduct a credit search on you to ascertain your loan history. Like I stated earlier, you need to be within 21 years for you to be able to access this. And we also expect that you made commitment, you have a stake in the property that you've identified to purchase, and that equity contribution is 20% equity. Now, for every property we invest in, there must be a title document. Is essential. And on the course of this training, I'm going to show you samples of acceptable title documents in the bank. Now, for salary earners, you expected to domicile your salary with the bank, and we also expect an offer letter of employment or lax promotion letter. Now, to better understand and protect the interest of our customer, we are also going to carry out insurance on the course of this transaction. Now, it's statutory that you will not be able to allow you service this loan repayment with anything above 33% of your income. That is also to make it comfortable for you to be able to meet up with your other obligations. For us to verify your income, we will require that you provide us with 12 months bank statement and 6 months pay slip, just to give us an idea of what you currently earn and how long you've been earning that. Now, aside this, for business owners, we expect audited accounts. We also expect that you give us an idea of your cash flow projection, what you intend to do within the next 3 years, which is usually a function of your audited accounts. Now, for us to have an in-depth understanding of your business and your income, we expect that you give us 24 to 36 months bank statements. And because we want to know who you are, we want to know our customers, so we expect that you domicile your business proceeds in the bank. Also, title document is very essential. So we expect that the property that you are buying into must have a registered title document, and that is also to protect the interest of our customers. Now, satisfactory credits check. We expect that you provide us with satisfactory credits check on the course of this application. Now, we have 4 acceptable title document currently within the bank, and one of it is CFO. Majority of us are very used to CFO. We know what it is, and we also expect that the property you are buying should have registered deed of assignment Majority of us call this governor's consent. And we also have registered sublease with a residual term of 15 years. Outside this, we also accept registered power of attorney, and this is acceptable in states like Abia State, Anambra, Akwa Ibom, and others. However, this is subject to confirmation by the bank. Now, where can we fund? Like, where must your property located for us to be able to invest in these properties? So it's open to all state capitals, including Lagos, Abuja, and Port Harcourt. Now, we also understand that there is the possibility of having property or identifying interest in properties that are located in a viable town that is not necessarily the state capital of that state. We are more than happy to have that conversation with you to be able to invest in such areas. Take, for instance, if we are buying a project in Anambra State and the project is around Onitsha axis, we understand that Onitsha is not the state capital of Anambra State, but because of the viability of Onitsha town, we are more than happy to finance such projects. Same is applicable in Abia State, where you have Aba, that is not the state capital of Abia State, and Aba is a viable town in Abia State. So we can also invest in such location. Now, just to give you an idea and to let you understand how seamless this process is, I'll just have to speak briefly on the transaction dynamic. So here we are looking at a customer indicating interest in buying a particular property and approaches the bank to come and part finance that. Will basically pre-qualify you. We just want to ascertain that, oh, the money you've requested or the mortgage loan you've requested, that you're eligible to access that amount. Once that is done, the document that we require from you is shared with you initially, and you make provision for that. On the basis of that, we'll get approval for you, and upon approval, we issue you an offer letter. The offer letter will state the terms of that mortgage loan and the condition precedent to draw down. We guide you through the process of meeting the condition precedent, and upon that, the loan is disbursed to you through the property seller through your account, after which you are expected to meet up with the repayment obligation in line with the terms of contract as stated in your offer letter. Now, upon full completion of your loan repayment, the title deed, we register what we call a deed of release, and that is the registering the interest of the bank over that property, and then we release a perfected title document to you, our customer, and then you can proceed you can proceed to do whatever you want to do with that property. Let me also state that the beautiful thing about this scheme is that at the time that the bank makes payment for that property, you take possession of the property immediately, while you then repay back the loan over a period of time. Thank you. Please, next slide. Yeah, so just to enable you take a quick decision on this scheme. So currently, if your income is within the income brackets that you're seeing on your screen, and you still have up to 20 years in service, that's you are currently 40 and your retirement age is 60, then you are eligible for 20 years tenure. And if your income is 3.3 as we speak, which means that you're eligible to access the maximum sum for this scheme, which is 100 million. And if you currently earn 660,000, this means that you're eligible to access 20 million. And your repayment amount is going to be around 220,000. I'll also give you an repayment schedule for 15 years. You say you are currently 45 and you have only 15 years in service. This gives you an idea of what you're expected to earn for you to access a certain amount. Next slide, please. So for Customers who earn within 3.6, you're eligible for the maximum loan amount under this scheme, which is 100 million, and your repayment is around 1.2. And you earn 720,000, you're eligible for 20 million, and your repayment is around 240,000. Now, for those who have just 10 years in service, with 4.3, you are eligible for the maximum sum of 100 million, and 860, you're eligible for 20 million under the scheme, and your repayment is around 286,000. We are happy to listen to you. We want to hear your concerns. We want you to ask us questions, and we are more than happy to guide you through this process. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Marcus. Thank you for giving us more insights to the MRIF program and the fund. At this moment, we would like to, so one of the key things about when it comes to mortgage is one of the key players are the developers. The developers are those who actually develop the properties that are put on sale, if I put that instance. So we'll meet one of the developers with a spotlight on Q Shelter, represented by Oludare Makinde. He will just, tell us about what they do as developers and how they ensure that houses are made available to individuals. Dari, please come go ahead.
Thank you, Adim. Thank you for having me. Thank you, everyone. My name is Dari Makinde, so I'll be speaking from the aspect of the developer, not just the developer, but the platform provider for both MRIF and other housing initiatives going on in the country today. So quickly, I will just look at housing over time. When you talk about basic humanity, it's a fundamental requirement for human survival, for people to live together, and for family to build homes. And that's why great emphasis is being laid on MRIF, on housing, on mortgage, as we are having today. It's also an economic driver. For each construction going on, there are jobs that's created. It enhances capital formation too. It also enhances social stability. It reduces inequality when people have access to homes and they can own their homes. It also improves health and well-being. People can live together in a safer, in a cleaner environment. It also brings about national development, what we'll call economic development, what we call GDP growth. One of the ways to enhance any country's GDP growth. If you look at countries that have increased GDP growth, there's no way you rule out housing because of the value chain housing brings to the development of such economy. It also brings about urban development where the housing are well set out, they are well laid out, they are well planned and all that. So these are home ownership challenges. That's why home ownership is a very key factor, is a very key issue anywhere in the world, whether in a third world, whether in a developing economy or a frontier economy, or even a first world economy. So people have talked about housing deficit, and that's one of the challenges of home ownership across the world, including Africa, which Nigeria is also part of. We have different studies that have told us housing deficits will be within the range of 20 million. Some studies say 26 million, but whichever million it is, there's actually a housing deficit in Nigeria. Lack of access to affordable housing finance, that's a major crisis, in the country. People will say that there's no affordable housing. Where you have affordable housing, what you have is affordable finance. And over outside Nigeria, especially in the US, UK, they'll be able to address those finance issues by having mortgage at 5%, at 6%, at 7%. But today in the country, you are having access to affordable housing, and that's why we're in this conversation where MRIF is offering for 12%. One of the challenges for homeownership, again, is low mortgage penetration. When you look at Nigeria, our research has shown that mortgage penetration is below 5%, while in other countries, in Kenya, in South Africa, is far, far, far above. When it talks about huge capital outlay, and one of the challenges for homeownership is that for you to own a home, you need huge capital to start, and that's why MREF is coming in, that you don't need 100% cash, you don't need the whole money, just with the 20% or whatever percent, you are good to go. There's also a policy gap issue. It's until 1991 before we have a clear national housing policy in Nigeria. Before now, there was no housing policy in the country. The 1991 national housing policy talk about housing for all by the year 2000. You and I, the evidences are clear that there's no housing for all by year 2000. This policy was reviewed 2006. It was further reviewed 2012. And the 2012 lay emphasis on private participation. And understanding MREF. MREF is Ministry for Finance Incorporated Real Estate Investment Fund. It was launched 2024. Is a major breakthrough for our housing sector in Nigeria. It's an ambitious 1 trillion naira housing program where the government is saying they want about 1 million people to own houses. As of today, 250 billion naira has been raised, and the fund is managed by ARM. It's also a significant milestone in ensuring that people have accessibility to the fund and the funds are available. And that's one of the key things MREF is bringing on. So this is just the structure and key stakeholders for MREF. You have the federal government, that's the Murphy, that the one that is driving the fund. You have the ARM. ARM is the fund managers because they are professionals in the aspect. And you have the public-private partnership where you have QShelter as a technology company integrating all the people in the ecosystem, including the different developer, including pension fund administrators, including the banks, including other mortgage banks, to ensure that this MREF fund gets across to the consumer. And these are the offering. Excuse me, like Nana said earlier, you have low-cost mortgage loan up to 100 million. The payment period is up to 20 years, depending on your age to retirement, and you can actually use your RSA to have access to it. The next slide, please. Thank you. So this is where QShelter comes in. So QShelter, like I said earlier, is a technology partner for MREF. We are the ones that are behind the platform. We designed the platform. We built the platform. We maintain the infrastructure from the back end. Like I said, the whole essence is to connect all the people in the ecosystem to ensure that home buyers own their homes. You have the developers, you have the lenders, and you have the regulator. What we provide is a very secure, user-friendly platform, end-to-end. From the comfort of your home, you can own a home. You choose your property you want, you go through everything, you select your property, read time, you book your mortgage, you are good to go. We have 24 hours customer service on ground to pay attention to customers across the globe. And that is what the platform provides. The platform is secure, is smarter, and it is open to everybody. The platform hosts about 2,500 properties listed on the platform for home buyers to choose from, whether in Lagos, whether in Port Harcourt, whether in Abuja. The next slide, please. The next slide, please. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, there's just a bit of lag.
Okay. Okay.
So the team will just reshare. There was a bit of...
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So this is the user journey applying for MREF. So you can pick from the listed property. Like I said, we have over 2,500 property. They are verified. Searches have been done on them. What we do again in our company, we do beyond just legal searches. We ensure that those property are not part of the property that do not have permits. So a property can have a CFO but does not have a building permit. Such property will not fly. So we do have verification. So all properties on our platform from different developers have been verified. They are listed on the platform. You can choose from them. You also have opportunity when you go to the platform and you can't find the property you want or you prefer, you can upload your own property. Maybe you have a property that you want to buy. You've seen the property, so it's called upload your self-source property. So you can upload on the platform and you are good to go. The platform is emrif.com.ng. Once you click to the platform now, you are good to go. You can check. So this is just the journey for every home buyer. You start your registration, you click your sign up, you select home buyer, you enter your full name, your email address, your mobile number. Be sure that they are correct mobile number and email you are inputting. Because at the end of the day, an OTP will be sent to you to verify, and you can search your property in the case where you want to pick up on the platform, or you can upload your own. You do your self-appraisal pre-qualification, pre-qualification yourself, and you get your provisional offer letter. You're good to go. You can also book inspection from the platform. Like I said, we have, again, we have our property lead officers that will be available to take you on the tour and inspection of any property of your choice that you picked on the platform. So this is a summary of the end-to-end journey for the home buyers: your onboarding, your property search, your appraiser, you book a call, your application. You can track everything from your mobile device or from your laptop, and that is what we have to offer. So this is a big departure from what is going on, what has gone ahead before in our country. You know, it's something that is revolutionary that everybody must take advantage of, you know, and we're glad we have Access ARM Pension, we have Access Bank on board as one of our key partners to ensure that we get you to a journey of owning your home. And again, we always tell people, so home is beyond brick and mortar now. So we tell people, some people tell me, hey, I have a house already. We say, no, take advantage of it. It's just 12% interest rate for now, which is likely to even go down to a single digit interest rate with what is going on in the industry. So take advantage of it. So it's beyond brick and mortar now. You can use the property for investment purpose. Thank you very much. So I'll be glad to have your questions. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Dari. Um, as we prepare our questions, I will already have some questions on the chat box and on the Q&A session. I just want to say in simple terms, you know, he said emrif.com.ng. You can go there and search for available properties. And when you found the properties, you can approach Access Bank as a partner to help you in that financing process. And as part of the financing process, you can also access your RSA mortgage, 25% of your RSA for that mortgage. That is where Access ARM comes in. So if you are interested in this opportunity, we would like you to scan this code, the code on your screen. Just take your phone and scan the code on your screen. If you have a QR scanner, you can scan the code. For iPhone users, if you just use your camera, you can scan the code. Some other phones, you might need to have a QR code scanner. But if you scan the code, it leads you to an expression of interest form where you can then declare your interest on what you want, and then someone will reach out to you. At this point, I would like us to then go to our Q&A session. Okay, before we take our Q&A, before we take the question and answers, I would like us to take another poll before we take before we start answering questions. Our speakers to answer some of the questions that people have asked. So we'd just like us to quickly take this poll. So just give us a minute to take the polls. Okay, please let's just have our answer to the poll. So while we are completing the polls, I just want to respond to a few questions we have seen on the question and the chat box. So we have our team responding to questions on the Q&A session. But I will still just want to answer a few questions that I've seen on the message box while I wait for people to let me pick one question. So someone had asked the question about he has access to 25% of his RSC because he was out of employment. He's asking if he can also access 25% for the mortgage purposes. Yes, you can. You just have to, there's a consent form you have to fill. If you've accessed 25% out, 25% of your RSA mortgage previously because you were out of employment. You can also access, yes, you can also access 25% for mortgage purposes. Take another one. Okay, I think for the polls, we're just 48%. Please, can we just try to get 60% on the polls? Can we try to get 60% on the polls? Someone asked a simple question: how much money can you have? I think this is from Adidayo. How much money can you have in your RSA pension before you can have access to the kind of house you want? Basically, it depends. So any amount you have in your RSA account, you can access 25% of it to support the equity amount that's for the house. So like Yitini had mentioned previously, if the house is say 25 million and 20% of that, 20% of that is 5 million, it means you require 5 million equity. If you have some cash at hand, you can put that on ground, then you can then go into your RSA account and see whatever your 25% can achieve. If your 25% can get you 2.5 million, it means you can use that 2.5 million from your RSA, and then you might need to then get another 2.5 million from another source to make it up for that equity purpose. Okay, thank you so much. I think we are almost on 60% with the polls. I have about 220 people who have completed the polls. Please, can more people complete the polls? And so for the Q&A, I would like us to just take questions from people on the webinar. So if you have, I have 6 people who have raised their hands. The team will let them speak. Then I can then get one of the speakers to answer the questions. So if you have questions, then in between, if time permits, we'll then take some questions from the chat box and the Q&A. And while our team keeps responding to the questions on Q&A, you can raise your hand if you have a question. Okay, so. Okay, so I have a few hands raised. Let me see. Let me try and locate all those whose hands are raised. Okay, so on, I think we have Adiwale Adeniyi. He has his hands raised for a while now. So Adiwale Adeniyi, please, can you take your question? Adiwale Adeniyi, your hands have been up. Okay, so maybe he's having some network challenges. So we have Jimo Adideji has his hand up. So Jimo Adideji, please, can you unmute and speak? Or Adiwale, any of you who is able to?
Hello.
Yeah, hi. Hello, Jimo. Good afternoon.
Thank you so much for making this topic. So I have a couple of questions here.
Okay, I hope we can all take them in this session. We'll take all we can, and we'll get responses afterwards.
Fortunately, the first is to the first speaker. The thing is, I have a house that is not yet.
We can't hear you clearly. Jimo, we can't hear you clearly, please.
Are you hearing me now?
Yeah, we can. We can.
So
But the line is a bit faint.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, it's better.
So what if an individual has a house that is being developed and, and the person still use this 25% of the house to do that?
Oh,
Then what happens
no.
if an individual has building feelings and the person still wants that not necessarily the big pieces or the capitals of it?
Okay, no, not in this instance. Or maybe Yetunde, can you speak to that? So he's asking,
Hello.
Jimo is asking if he has a house that is currently under development, can he, on the basis of that, access 25% for that purpose?
Okay, thank you, Adam. Unfortunately, no, he cannot use 25% of his RSA for that purpose. It has to be a new property being purchased, a near completed or completed property being purchased. You cannot use the funds to complete your own existing property. Thank you.
Okay, Jimo, you said you had a couple of questions. Any more questions?
Let's see the second speaker. So how do you want pay back? That is the Mr. Marcos. How do you want pay back when one is no more in the salary when you somebody in the profile? How do you want to pay back? Pay back?
Okay. Okay, if I get it clearly, your question is how do you pay back if you're no longer in employment? If for some reason you're no longer in employment. This question is directed to Marcos. Thank you, Mr. Jimo. So Marcos will respond to that question, and then we'll take the next question from Adiola Kirili.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Jimo. The basis of this loan application is highly rooted in the fact that you have a steady income. And if for any reason on the course of the repayment period, and for any reason you lose your job or you're currently out of employment, we have insurance that will cover for that over a specific period. And the idea is while that insurance is covering your repayments, the assumption is that you will be able to actually get something else doing in order for you to meet up with your repayment obligation. However, if after that, for any reason, you want the bank to restructure the loan to align with your new streams of income, we can also have that conversation with you, understand what you currently do. If it's not like a regular employment, take for instance, at the time you process the loan, your repayment was on monthly basis, but for one reason or another, you're out of job. And within the 6 month period that insurance will cover your repayments, you are able to get another job that is really not that the repayment structure is a bit different from what you currently have. We are happy to have that conversation with you to structure your loan to align with your income. Then, if for any reason at all you don't have a job and you don't want to continue with that transaction again, because of the repayment burden is much on you and you've exhausted the insurance coverage period, we can also have a conversation on you on how to close out on that transaction. Thank you. I hope I've been able to answer your question.
Thank you, Marcos. I believe you've done so. So we've given Jimo opportunity for 2 questions. So we'll go to Salman. I don't know if Adewale Adini is available, but let's give Salman the opportunity to ask his question. Salman, do say. Salman, do say. You have your hands up. Okay, so if Salman just say, because I want us to move quickly. Christopher Okolo has his hands up.
Hi, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Hi, thanks for the nice presentation. I want to comment on, or rather ask a question about the 25%. Is that open to review given that prices of houses are really going high and increase in salaries are not really commensurate to that? And especially for people like myself that have had delays in remittances of my contributions, I still have like 5 years hanging non-remitted contributions to my RSC account, to my RSA. And I've been with ARM since 2013, and from 2017 to 2022, there haven't been any remittances until I laid a complaint, and then they started remitting. But those 5 years are still missing, of course, with the accrued interest. So for instances like this, my 25% would really mean nothing. But with those additional fundings that have been missing all those while, it would be really great. So these are kind of like a combo question. So first, could there be a review on the 25% to a little bit higher? And how can we resolve instances where you have a missing remittances? I have really a lot of complaints, made several phone calls, emails to PENCOM, to ARM, now Access ARM. So this is really a huge burden. But thanks for the nice presentation anyway.
Okay, thank you, Christopher. Just to, I'm so sorry to hear about that. So just to answer your first question on the 25%, if it could be reviewed further, I think that's largely in the hands of the regulator. You know, we're a highly regulated industry. We can only make comments, give feedback to the regulator based on what our customers are saying. I think that's the most of what we can do. And then the regulator then makes the decision on what is permissible and what is not. So for now, for that question, I'll say it's in the hands of the regulator, of our regulator. And for your second question, I would say PENCOM actually has a team, because I think I saw some other questions around this. PENCOM has a team. They usually go to, when they hear cases of unremitted contributions which have been deducted from employees, they actually have a team that finds a way to ensure that employers who do not make these remittances are sanctioned in some sense of it. And also as an organization, we ensure we relate with employers as much as we can. Our relationship managers try to relate to the pension desk officers across various organizations where we have our clients to see that outstanding remittances are remitted in due time, and where we need to escalate to the regulator in those instances, we make those escalations. And I hope that answers the question.
Can I just drop in on that quickly, please? Sorry for interrupting, but does PENCOM have direct access to institutions, PENCOM desk officers? In this case, I work for an academic institution, and you would know the case of switching between GIFMIS and IPPIS and back to GIFMIS again, and this whole lot of complication. I guess this is quite unique to academic institutions, especially for the government academic institution. Do you think PENCOM have access to that? Because I've written to PENCOM severally, and they send me back to ARM, and ARM sends me back to the desk officer, and desk officer send me back to PENCOM again. So it's really been a very twisted circle there. So I really don't know how to resolve it. But 5 years unremitted contributions, aside from the accrued interest, missing till now.
Okay, Mr. Christopher, so we need to take this offline so that we can look into it. But I know that as an organization, what we have, PENCOM has access as long as they have the PFAs having customers in those organizations. That is enough access, right? So we usually would liaise with the organization as much as we can and make escalations back to PENCOM. But I would like us to probably take this case and see what more can be done about it. Aside what has been done so far. So I'll just ask if you can send an email to email at info@accessRMpensions. I will just check with the team to ensure that email is picked up immediately, and then we can, just for your details, so that your details are not public. So just send it to that email.
Could you say that again? Let me just type it out on my
info@access. I will show it at the last slide. It'll be on the last slide. Or maybe I will just drop it on. I'll drop it on the chat box.
Thank you.
On the chat box. We'll drop it on the chat box. Yes. Thank you very much. I think, how many questions more can we take? Okay, so I think have we taken the question? Salman, Duse. Okay, you were not able to speak, so I think we'll take a question from Abdul Mumun Abioye. Abdul Mumun Abioye.
Yeah,
Abdul
good
Mumun,
afternoon.
good afternoon, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are very audible.
Yeah, sincerely, I also appreciate the AIM pension for this webinar. I congratulate them. Yeah, my question is more or less related to that of Christopher,
Okay.
because I've been with ARM pension, ARM access pension, access ARM pension since 2005 when they were in Sigma and all that. Just about 2 years ago, we had issues of non-remittance, some of us over 15 months. But recently, it started dropping. And up to now, it not dropped to the 15 months that we expected. We have about 6-7 months that is still hanging. And on the 25% RSA, which I applied earlier last year to 2024, and up to date is still under processing. And please, I just want to know the reason why it's still under processing and the remaining 6 months that is not being remitted. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. So on the remittance, I would say that the 9 months that has been received is the effort of our team liaising with your employers to ensure that all remittances are being received, and that is still ongoing. And as soon as that is concluded, I believe all your remittances would be reflected in your accounts. So it's been an ongoing process since last year, and it's been a tough drive, like Christopher had mentioned. All of the previous platforms that were used by the IPPS issues, the GiveMakes, and all of those movements. That there's been a drive from ourselves relating with all, especially public employers, to ensure that our customers get their complete remittance, and that drive is still on. And I believe that we would. I believe in a short while you'll be able to get your remittances. So for the other question, I think please also just send us an email. Just ensure I'll be on the lookout. We'll be on the lookout for that. Send an email to the info@access ARM pension. Just specify your PIN and just specify your PIN and what you just mentioned. So we'll just pick it up as soon as possible, and then we'll speak to that.
What's the mail? The mail address.
So is on the chat box, info@access-armpensions.com.
Okay.
Yes,
okay, thank you.
Thank you. So quickly, I think we may be able to take only, let me see, we have a couple of hands up. How many questions more can I take? Okay, so I think I'll just take 4 more questions. I'll take a question from Fatimo Lawal, Temitope Paul, Yakubu Yahaya, and Joshua Sanusi. So we'll take a question from Fatimo Lawal. Take a question from Fatimo Lawal.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, good afternoon. How are you?
And thank
you so much for the training or webinar. Sorry. Okay, I just wanted to ask. I did inquiries with the Federal Mortgage Bank, and then I was told that they have some list of properties around Ibeju, Lekki, for now, Lekki and Ikorodu, because I'm currently based in Lagos. So now the way the thing was packaged, the finances for those houses were packaged is that you will need, for 2-bedroom or 3-bedroom houses, you will need a 20% equity. So what I'm asking is, I have my pension fund with ARN, sorry. So I'm asking if I can access my 25%, can it be used for that purpose? Because I think I need about.
Yeah, the reason we're having this seminar. Yeah, one of the reasons we're having the seminar.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Okay. So what do I do? I'm based in Lagos. Who do I meet? Do I just walk into any Access Bank or something?
Okay, you can just.
I don't have any Access Bank accounts, so.
Yeah, you can, first off, you can use the scan code, and then You can also FHA, where the Federal Mortgage Bank, have you selected? You need to select a primary mortgage institution.
Let me answer the question, please.
Okay. Yetunde, you
Okay,
can go ahead.
okay, thank you very much for the question. So for you to be able to use the Federal Mortgage Bank, they always require the down payment first before they issue you an offer letter. However, the process for the RSA mortgage in the pension space is that you must first get an offer letter from your bank before you can now process your 25% from your RSA. So using the Federal Mortgage Bank will be very difficult to have that unless you can get an offer letter from the bank that states the equity contribution required, the property, and all of those details. First,
when you say,
without
sorry,
having
sorry, when you say get an offer letter from your bank, that means if I don't want to use the Federal Mortgage Bank, I can approach another mortgage bank?
Yes, you can approach eligible financial institutions for that purpose. They have participating financial institutions that you can get, primary mortgage institutions as well as commercial banks. We can send you a list, but even you can't go directly to a Federal Mortgage Bank. You have to do it through a primary mortgage institution.
Yes, I just went there to make inquiries. Sorry.
Yes, yes, that's what happens. So you would have to use a PMI that will now make an application to the Federal Mortgage Bank on your behalf.
Okay, okay.
But for more information, please send an email to initiatersamortgage@accessarmpensions.com. So what would initiate RSA?
RSA, okay.
RSA mortgage at accessarmpensions.com.
Oh, okay, armpensions.com. Okay, all this together. Thank you.
Yes, there's an hyphen between Access and ARM Pensions.
Okay, okay. Access-armpensions.com.
Yes, we'll send you the list of approved primary mortgage institutions.
Okay, and can I also, sorry, I'm taking your time. Can I also have a WhatsApp number or something? Because most times these mails don't get, I don't know.
I can assure you it will get answered. You'll get a response.
Oh, perfect. Okay, yes. Thank you, Yetunde. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right.
Thank you, Yetunde. So we take our next question from Temitope Paul.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, my question has been halfway answered, but I'm not yet clear because I also had the question before that can the mortgage used for completion of an existing project? But the answer said no. And the reason for this question, for me, especially me, maybe I'm looking forward up to like 10 million naira to complete a project so that I can move in. So instead of me to get a mortgage of 20 million and above, so I'm trying to bring it down so that it will be easier for me to pay within a short period of time. So I believe some people that ask the same question may have the same way of thinking, or their own may be different from mine. So I want to know the reason why the management go against it, that no.
Okay, Yetunde, do you want to respond to this? Because it's not the management, sir, that's that is putting this question. Yeah.
We understand the concerns and the plight of everyone that wants the fund to complete their existing property. However, the scheme by our regulator, PENCOM, does not allow for completion of an existing property that belongs to the RSA holder. It has to be a new property that the RSA holder is trying to acquire. You cannot use it to complete an existing property that belongs to you as the RSA holder. However, maybe over time, they will look into those concerns, we'll let them know, and they can now structure something around that. But currently, it is not allowed.
Okay, we appreciate if you people can put it to them and let them look into it. I think it will be more
Right,
helpful.
we'll do that, sir. We'll definitely do that, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We can only take two more questions. Our last two questions will be from Yakubu and Yakubu Yahaya Ibrahim. Yakubu Yahaya Ibrahim, please, you can speak. Okay, if Yakubu is not speaking, Yakubu, please, can you unmute and speak? If Yakubu is not available, we have a hand raised, Mohammed Ibrahim.
Hello?
Okay, Yakubu is
hello.
speaking.
Yeah, Yakubu is doing online.
Okay, sir.
Hello?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Yakubu is online.
Okay.
Yeah, good day.
Good day, sir.
The presentation was rich. All the presenters tried. I give kudos to all of them. My question here, I have like 3 questions.
Okay, sir.
Why is it that some mortgage institutions, that's primary mortgage institutions, don't have branches in most of the state capitals, making it very difficult for RSAs, that's holders, to have access to them? Then, can clients introduce some mortgage institutions of their choice for the process? And the last question is, how long does it take to access the 25%? Thank you.
Okay, if I got your questions clearly, your first question is, why do the PMIs, primary mortgage institutions, not have offices across the country? Your second question is, how long does it take to assess the 25%? And please, your third question.
I said,
Can clients introduce PMIs?
I said, can clients introduce mortgage institutions of their choice?
Okay. Okay, so first off, I want to ask, what's your location?
Yeah, I'm from Plateau State.
Okay, okay. So, Yetunde, please, can you help answer the questions?
Okay, so the first one about the branch network of some PMIs. I understand that, but there are also some national PMIs that might have headquarters in a particular place and have like a branch network all across the country. We'll be willing to introduce you to those. If you could just drop your contact information or send an email to info@accessarmpensions.com. We will send you the list, a comprehensive list of PMIs and commercial banks you can use. And then we are here to also introduce you to Access Bank if you would like that.
Okay, thank you.
Then the second question, can clients introduce PMIs? Unfortunately, clients cannot do that. It has to be the PMI that would make an application to PENCOM. So clients cannot introduce PMIs. They have their own body, the mortgage body in the country. So they have to go through that and make an application so that PENCOM can approve them as one of the participating financial institutions. To the third question, once all your documents are complete and in the proper manner that they should, it won't take you anything over a week. Within a week, you can get, the equity contribution paid into your account with your mortgage bank. So far, all the documentations are complete and correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Yetunde. Thank you, Yakubu. So we'll take our last question from Mohammed Ibrahim. Mohammed Ibrahim, please.
Hello.
Yeah, we can
Hello,
hear you,
can
sir.
you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Yeah, I think my question has been 100% answered. The question is on the in the issue of this existing property totally owned by an individual whether they can be funded. But now
Okay, sir.
the answer is no. So we can make a case before the authority to see what they can do to look into it. Thank you very much.
So maybe we'll take one more question since that has been answered. Mohammed Adam, I hope your question has not been answered already, so that we can answer that, and that will be our last question for the day. Mohammed Adam, please can you unmute and speak? Mohammed Adam, please can you unmute and speak? Okay, if he's not available, we'll go to the next person. Christopher Onwugamba. Christopher Onwugamba. Apologies if I didn't pronounce it properly. Okay, sir. Please, we'll take your question as the last question for the day. We can't hear you clearly, sir.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, sir, we can. Yes. Yes, we can hear you clearly.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you. We can hear you. We can hear you.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, I submitted my question under the Q&A session, but at a point I was locked out, so I don't know whether it was answered or not.
Okay.
I started the process of accessing the 25% equity since October 2024.
Okay.
And I think my documentations are okay. Last month, I received a mail from Access ARM informing me that my application has been approved.
Okay.
It's over a month now. I've not had anything else, no payment, nothing.
Okay, sir.
Meanwhile, my wife started hers. She's with IBTC pension managers. She started after me around November. And since February, she has been paid. So I don't know what actually is causing the delay in my own application. So that's my question.
Okay, sir. Just to give you a brief, before June 1st, the process was your application has to be approved by PENCOM. After it's approved by PENCOM, we notify you, and we also notify your PMI, your primary mortgage institution, to bring the post-approval documents. And after those post-approval documents have been received, we review it and then process for payment. What I can do is, please, just so your information is not public, please can you send your details to info@Access ARM Pensions, even though I've taken note of your name and others who have mentioned theirs, to just check what the issue is and then provide the feedback to you. But please just also send an email. I've taken note of your name. I believe this is the same name this is your official name. So I'll
yes.
that and provide feedback to you, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I just want to thank everyone. Please, we have the QR code on the screen. Please just scan the QR code and express your interest in applying for MREF and other opportunities. Then we can always reach out to us on the emails and the phone number on your screen. You can visit any of our offices across the country. We have offices across the country, or if you have any questions, please always don't hesitate to send us an email. Our website is also available for those asking for our locations. They are available on our website, because I see someone was asking a question about our location in Imo State. Thank you very much for being in attendance. Thank you for taking out your time to be here. We really do appreciate you, and we're always here to serve you as much as we can to serve you and ensure that we deliver the excellence that you deserve. Thank you so much. This is us. This is bye from us at Access ARM Pensions. I also want to thank our partners, Access Bank, and our presenter from QR Shelters. Thank you so much. Thank you, Yetunde. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone who asked the question. And I just want to thank the team. We believe that at the next webinar, you'll also be present to have some learnings. And we look forward to seeing your expression of interest. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.